Hello. It's so great to be here to discuss Pistis Sophia. Second week talking about Pistis Sophia. And I don't know, some of this information is probably, you know, you may have heard it before. I don't know. But many people, I'm sure, have not. And you may be in disbelief when you listen to some of the information I'm going to be sharing with you. So let's get started. So, Pistis Sophia is most of the information that I receive on Pistis Sophia is from the Nag Hammadi um, library. And it is a library that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And a lot of traditional religious organizations um, reject the the books from the Nag Hammadi for whatever reasons, and I'm not going to get into a debate over whether they should be accepted or not. All I can say to you is when I read the information in the Nag Hammadi, it makes sense to me. And all the questions I had growing up, whenever I was, you know, told about the Bible or um, read the Bible myself, there was always like this question. So the Nag Hammadi is an intense book. And I think a lot of the religious writings, and I think that this is the King James Bible. And a lot of that is confusing too, but I'm learning that it's confusing because if you take information out of this book or the last lost books of the Bible, and you read them, I mean, they say a lot of the same things, but the original books say far more, and they make so much more sense. So there's going to be a few things that I'm going to bring up here, and I talked last week about Pistis Sophia being wisdom. She's known as faith and wisdom. And it's actually said that she comes back, she gets reincarnated. The same as Jesus. Jesus gets reincarnated as God. God comes to earth in a human, part spiritual deity as Jesus Christ. And Sophia comes back, reincarnated. I shouldn't say comes back because they just were reincarnated into a human body. And the true God is Logos, which is reason. And Sophia is wisdom. And she's reincarnated as Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene and Jesus, they venture together, and they find oneness together. And there are people that want to deny all of the texts that are written about Mary Magdalene. They do not want to give her equality, I guess. It would be the right word, to the true God. And I say true God because when I get into this whole Pistis Sophia story, there is another deity that believed he was God, and he was the cruel, angry, evil God. Um, and the true God, we'll get into. I think I mentioned it last week when I talked about Pistis Sophia wanted to have a child, but didn't want to um, get pregnant with permission from the seed giver, which was the divine father. So she got impregnated with his seed somehow on her own. I'm not going to try to dissect all that no more than I'll try to dissect how Mary got pregnant with Jesus. But anyway, if it happened then, I guess it could happen with Sophia. So Sophia bore a child, and because the child was created in the way that it was created through deception, that being had all the deity, like all the supreme. I'm shutting this off because that doesn't look cool. There we go. That's so much better. So that being had all like the power, the deity of the the two be the two beings, because it was the seed and the egg of the two supremes. And but because it was done deceptively, instead of it being that good divine source, it was more of a demonic source. So the child's name ended up being, he was known as Yaldabaoth. And Yaldabaoth only saw himself. Yaldabaoth could not even see Sophia. He saw nothing else. The only thing that Yaldabaoth saw was himself, and he saw his greatness, and only his greatness. And he believed he was the only supreme being around. So prior to him being created, Pistis Sophia was actually the one that created the material world. Um, and it says it actually in the King James Bible too. And I'm going to pull it up in the King James Bible. I'm going to tell you what verse, what book. So she was actually the one that created the material world, which they call Earth. So after all this happened with Yaldabaoth, Sophia was pulled out of the Gnostic heaven, which they also call the pleroma. Okay, um, because of her, it says in the book, because she desired to know the Father. Very nicely put. Anyways, so she was pulled out and sent out of the Gnostic heaven. So that was after that she created Yaldabaoth. She got pregnant and created Yaldabaoth. And so actually it's like her and this birth created the material world, because they were thrown out of the Gnostic. She was thrown out of the Gnostic heaven because she did the birth, the pregnancy deceptively. So when she was thrown out, that's when the material world was created. And Yaldabaoth was the one God, the only God, and the supreme being. And he was the inferior god, or the Demiurge, Delmiurge. I always have a hard time with this word. Demiurge. I'm sorry. Okay, so he was actually the Demiurge, and the Demiurge is also referenced in our Bible in Revelations. So this God is evil and angry, violent, and it has the energy of both. It has the energy of both Sophia and the good God. Okay, so there's two gods, the higher God, and this higher God is actually more powerful and more supreme than the demiurge. So, but the higher God is also the kind and loving God. So Sophia, after this all happened, and this would be in the origin of the world. Um, After this all happened, Sophia realized what she had created, and she had a lot of remorse because she knew she created this evil being, that wanted to do nothing but destroy everything and wanted people to like worship it. The other thing that I want to talk about, and I find this to be very, very interesting, and I was listening to a um, a documentary by a Jewish rabbi, and they were talking about Adam and Eve and how Eve was created. But let me mention this. This is the other fact. All these deities were that he created, this evil god, they were all androgynous. So they weren't male, and they were both. So they had both sexes. And this is going to make sense as far as I'm concerned. It made sense to me. Um, so let me jump to the whole Adam and Eve story and what I did here, when it was they used the word rib, and in Hebrew the word that's used for rib is also used for side, and they believe that, and it's used numerous times in the Bible, and it's always used as the side of the altar, the side of the room. Whenever it's used in the Bible, that same word, because just like in Spanish or in English, we have words that mean more than one thing. So this one word that they use to translate, is in the Bible, is always referenced as the side. And when the story of Adam and Eve was used, they used rib. And I don't know if they did that when they interpreted everything, if they did it intentionally to make it more miraculous, or maybe to make a woman like created with less than a man. I don't know, and I'm not going to dissect that either. But when it's used as side, it makes so much sense, because in the Nag Hammadi, it talks about how when Adam was laying there, and the beings, it wasn't one being that created Adam, it was all of this demiurge, all of his entities. They all use certain parts of their bodies that created Adam. Then Adam was created, and again, he was androgynous. So they took a side of Adam. And when they took the side of Adam and created Eve, that's where the female genitals and everything went into Eve. So, I mean, to me, I don't know about you, but to me, that makes so much more sense than a rib and here was woman. So in the fact that Adam had both sexes, it was androgynous. And remember, I think I mentioned this before in one of my videos. In some countries, um, hermaphrodites, I didn't say that right either, I'm sure. Um, they are worshipped. They're not considered freaks. They're considered very, very holy and spiritual beings. And they're treated with much dignity and much like almost like worshiping them, because they have both sexes. And in this culture, and I don't know what other cultures, because I only know the American way and American culture, they're basically considered not normal, because they have both sexes. So, and it's like these things make sense to me, and I don't know about you guys, but that makes sense. So we've already talked about, there were actually two supreme beings, the demiurge and then the higher God, who was kind, loving. And that higher God is the one that was reincarnated into Jesus. And when Mary was asked to bring Jesus into the world, it was this higher God that she was bringing into the world. And his name was actually Yeshua, which is Joshua. And somehow Jesus came out of that. And just another little thing, and I think it's in the Gospel of Jude. I'm not sure where it is, but Jesus is a Greek word, and it means hail Zeus. And so it's like, again, these are like kind of crazy little things here. So the other thing about Sophia is she also came from the Essenes, and she was considered Jesus's equal, not a fallen woman. And again, in the text, so many texts, she was a prostitute, and Jesus, brought her in because he just loved the sinners, and she wasn't a prostitute. She was a good woman, and she helped Jesus's church or ministry survive and be able to go forward. So, I don't know if I've gotten to the 5 things or not, but let's keep going here. Okay, so again, it says, let me go to the Bible verses. Okay, so and they're not easy to read. I'm going to tell you right now. So this is Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 22 to 36. So here we go. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All that they hate me love death. So again, with Sophia, that is about Sophia. She's telling you who she is and who she was from the very beginning. She was by the higher God's side at all times. She was the fruit of his delight. And this is in the King James Version of the Bible, Proverbs 8, verse 22 to 36. And then again, it says, so this is about the Yaldabaoth. Okay, so this is in Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9. And it says, this is what he said. Um, Remember this. Actually, it's 8 and 9. I'm going to read. Remember this and shrew yourselves, men. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Remember the former things of old. For I am God, and there is no one else. I am God, and there is none like me. And Yaldabaoth said the same exact thing in the Nag Hammadi. So, I'm not telling anyone, what they should or shouldn't believe. But again, this makes sense. And back in the very beginning, woman and man, male and female, feminine and deity and masculine deity were there from the very, very start. And it was never meant to lessen or eliminate the importance of the feminine energy. And when it talks about the soul, that part about the soul, where are we? Oh, wrong one. Where are we? Did I lose it? I think I lost it. Yep, I did. It must have come out. But anyways, when she was talking about, um, she's known as wisdom. And wisdom is all about knowing yourself. And the more you go within and know yourself and become Christ-like and God, have Christ consciousness and God consciousness, the more you will be saved. But if you deny going within and finding God and Christ within, heaven is within, then you are going to die a death. It doesn't mean bodily death, it's a death. And with everything going on in the world right now, I firmly believe that there are many of us that need to come together and save the souls that want to be saved. My ministry's name is the Wounded Souls Ministry. And, the reason why I named it that is because I was a wounded soul. And if there's anything I can do to help another wounded soul, then I want my message to be heard. And I want to be there for other wounded souls, lost souls, and any souls actually that are looking to find answers, make sense of things. So that's like my little second thing about Sophia. And there's so much. I mean, when you start digging, there's just so much. And I'm kind of gonna move on from Sophia and get into the the demiurge, the children of the demiurge, and then there's the children of the the higher God. So we'll get into those too, and talk about that next week. So with that, I just want to say it is great to be here. It's great to share with you, and I hope that you like and subscribe, and send some messages, and I'd be more than happy to get back to you and chat with you. And yeah, have a very blessed day, and look within. Always look within, no matter what. Okay? Be good. God bless.